It is funny how Americans used to measure wealth by how many acres of land they owned or how many cattle they could lose without crying, and now the national scoreboard is how many strangers double-tap a photo of your oversized coffee cup. Somewhere between the birth of credit cards, the death of pensions, and the rise of social media platforms owned by men who don't blink, we collectively decided that posting things is a form of economic activity. Not real economic activity like building a bridge or inventing a cure, but performance economics, where value is assigned not by utility, but by how loudly it can be flaunted. You don't even have to be rich anymore. You just have to appear rich, and appearances are on sale 24 horas per day, 7 dias per week. That's right. The true American dream is no longer owning a home. It is owning a lifestyle trailer you can highlight on the internet. And you do not even need the full lifestyle, just the highlight reel. The real world is now the behind-the-scenes footage you never post, the messy kitchen, the night sweats over debt, and the quiet fear that you are one emergency away from financial ruin. The internet is the glossy packaging, the filtered success, and the theatrical confidence that could put Hollywood agents out of business. But let's talk about the new ruling class, influencers. These are people who discovered that you do not need to do anything to be famous. You just need to convince other people that you are worth watching while doing nothing. And then, in a twist only possible in the United States, they start charging you money to watch them continue doing nothing, but at higher resolution. That is premium nothing. Meanwhile, advertisers are throwing cash at these individuals like they are the last helicopter out of Vietnam, because if a stranger with shiny teeth holds up a protein shake, sales mysteriously go up. And Americans do not even question it, because deep down they believe that if they like enough photos, one day someone will pay them to pose with a blender too. Call it optimism or delusion, but either way, it keeps the machine running. The funniest part is how the economy adapted. Before, financial advisors talked about diversification, indexing, and long-term strategy. Now they talk about content monetization, collab leverage, and personal brand currency. Everyone is a business now, everyone has value, everyone has audience awareness, and nobody has any savings. Americans do not invest in retirement. They invest in followers, which does not sound like a bad plan until you realize that followers do not pay medical bills, unless your illness is lack of attention, and even then, they barely help. But here is where the satire becomes tragedy. Posting has become a way to reassure ourselves that we exist. People wake up, snap a self-portrait, drink a matcha latte worth the price of a modest car payment, and declare to the world, "Look at me. I survived another night." It is not narcissism. It is existential bookkeeping. If nobody sees you, did you really even live? And if nobody comments, did you truly survive? In a country built on competition, validation becomes a currency. Who cares about the Federal Reserve when you can print dopamine at home with a cell phone and some artificial lighting? And yes, the lighting matters, because in America everything is branding, including your pores. We have filters strong enough to make a potato look emotionally stable and billionaire ready. And speaking of billionaires, do not think they are above this game. They might own rockets, electric cars, and entire social platforms, but you still catch them posting photos at the gym, pretending they carry groceries, or smiling awkwardly next to politicians they would never eat dinner with. That is because even at the top, wealth does not count unless other people envy it. Rich Americans do not want to be rich. They want to be admired for being rich. And if admiration dries up, panic sets in like a stock market crash in slow motion. The algorithm makes it worse. The algorithm is this invisible therapist that diagnoses you without consent and prescribes content like medication. If you click on one photo of a private jet, suddenly your feed becomes a luxury catalog full of timepieces, tailored suits, and vacations that cost more money than most people make in a year. Of course, nearly nobody in that feed actually paid for anything. Half of the luxury economy now is sponsored, borrowed, rented, or stolen. The rental companies do not even hide it. You can rent a Lamborghini for 3 horas, drive it in circles around Beverly Hills, take photos from strategic angles, and return it before you get billed for gas. That is not transportation, that is costume design. But the dark punchline is that Americans now believe they are falling behind, not because they are poor, but because they are not posting enough. It is not, "I can't afford a home." It is, "I should be posting more." It is not, "I have medical debt." It is, "I need better lighting." People are financially drowning. But instead of asking for a lifeboat, they are asking for a drone to film the drowning in cinematic slow motion. And somehow, we applaud it. We call it ambition. We call it hustle. We call it manifestation. Meanwhile, the original American hustle was working 3 jobs to pay a mortgage. The modern hustle is pretending you do not need a mortgage because you are spiritually nomadic and prefer Bali. But the secret nobody admits is that the economy of performative wealth depends on insecurity. You need people to feel inferior so they will buy the illusion of superiority. The American economy does not sell products. It sells hope, jealousy, and the fantasy that one day you too can join the ranks of the photographed elite. All you need is discipline, consistency, and a complete denial of reality. And just when you think Americans cannot escalate further, here comes the next evolution. Financial exhibitionism disguised as self-improvement. Now every influencer is suddenly a wellness expert, a productivity guru, or a motivational speaker with the spiritual depth of a wet napkin. They talk about gratitude journaling, high-performance routines, and manifesting abundance as if the universe is a confused customer service agent who keeps losing your request forms. And Americans love it because it lets them pretend that success is not random, that luck is not a factor, and that structural inequality is optional. In this fiction, every billionaire is self-made, every millionaire is humble, and every broke person is just not journaling enough. Forget economic policy. Just write affirmations until your landlord accepts positive vibes as rent payment. But let's address the elephant in the room. Social media creates fake markets. Luxury is no longer luxury. It is a prop. Wealth is no longer wealth. It is a filter. Nobody buys a designer bag because they need a bag. They buy it because the bag whispers, "I am doing better than you," which is the national motto when you remove the flag. The United States is a country obsessed with comparison. Comparison is the spiritual Olympics, and every event ends in a medal ceremony where no one wins but everyone claps. Even children are in on it. Kids used to collect trading cards and action figures. Now they want ring lights and editing software. Because why play pretend when you can go viral? And the system rewards absurdity. If you work a quiet job, nobody cares. But if you film yourself quitting your quiet job in dramatic fashion while delivering a monologue about escaping corporate slavery, suddenly you gain followers. If you cook a meal at home, nobody cares. But if you make that meal absurdly complicated and narrate it with passive-aggressive commentary about gluten intolerance, now you are a culinary influencer. The American internet economy thrives on spectacle, not substance. And spectacle does not pay taxes. What makes it darker is that brands love this. Brands realize that influencers are cheaper than celebrities and more effective than advertising. Why pay for a billboard when you can pay a human billboard who whispers your product into the ears of millions? It is parasocial capitalism. Consumers feel like they know influencers, even though the influencer would not share a table with them at a diner at 3 Da Man Ha. And yet, the relationship functions because consumers are not buying the product. They are buying proximity to status. That is the real commodity. But here is the punchline. Posting has inflated the cost of living in America in the weirdest way possible. People no longer buy things because they need them. They buy things because they need content. You are not decorating a home. You are curating a set. You are not ordering food. You are staging a meal. You are not adopting a pet. You are casting an animal side character. Even vacations are planned not around relaxation, but around shoot locations. If you do not have footage of the Louvre, did you really go? If nobody saw you at the beach, were you even there? And if your relationship is not documented online, does it legally exist? But the darkest irony is that posting is not the new wealth. Attention is. And attention is a volatile currency. It crashes faster than cryptocurrency and inflates faster than college tuition. You can be adored one afternoon and forgotten by sunrise, and all it takes is one new scandal, one new trend, or one new face with slightly better bone structure. Fame is affordable, but not sustainable. The economy of attention rewards speed, exaggeration, and shamelessness. And Americans are great at all three. Of course, there are winners. There are always winners. The top fraction of posters live like monarchs, protected by algorithms and sponsored by corporations who will endorse anyone as long as they do not commit crimes, or worse, get boring. These individuals do not just influence trends, they dictate values. They decide what is fashionable, admirable, and aspirational. Politicians used to do that, but politicians require elections. Influencers require lighting. Meanwhile, the average American scrolls, watches, likes, shares, compares, spirals, and returns the next day for more punishment. Not because they enjoy it, but because comparison is addictive. Envy is caffeinated. And hope that one day life will be as glamorous as the screen, keeps the hamster wheel spinning. Hope is the American lubricant that prevents the machine from catching fire. And if it does catch fire, well, at least it makes great content. But here is the final joke. Posting replaced wealth because wealth is too hard. You need real money to be rich. You just need Wi-Fi to seem rich. And in a culture that values perception over reality, seeming rich is just as good until the bills arrive. Americans have mastered the art of financial cosplay. They wear the costume, rehearse the lines, and perform the part. And maybe that is the great American revelation of the XXI secolo. Capitalism no longer requires capital, just confidence. So yes, posting is the new wealth. It generates envy, influence, and occasionally income. It shapes identity, defines worth, and rearranges priorities. It convinces people that life is a marketplace and the self is a product. And in the end, maybe that is what the United States always was. A place where anyone can sell anything, including themselves.